Hello, hello. I'm looking at SQ. SQ. Let's see this SQ for a second. SQ had a gap down of about 14%, more or less, something like that. And they like this company. The analysts really like this company. They believe it's a great space. Um, it's an ecosystem for distinct customer audiences. So what am I looking at? So right away I had on a gap down, there are a lot of ways to play gaps. But what I look at right away is to the building of the trend. So, in a 5-minute graph, I kind of get the build of a trend. I get my triangle, and then I see which way we're breaking out. And the first area of play is the high of the day. Okay, here the high of the day is somewhere around $60. Technically, this is an area for short. There is another in it because you're selling resistance. Remember, resistance with a small stop. This kind of stock, I wouldn't take more than 51 cents. What other people do is they usually buy the bounce whenever it breaks, which I hate that trade because you're buying resistance. Whenever it breaks the resistance level. So you see, there are people that actually got in right here in this wick. They got in this area price at around above 60, right? And they're losing right now. And I'd be scared buying a stock on a breakout that's on a gap down because the momentum and the trend is down. So going against the trend is not something you really want to do. So me personally, I like to short these things. You take small stops on a stock like this. I don't think more than 51 cents is worth it. Then you see how things develop. If this turns into a support after it's broken and you're stopped out or whatever, you see how it develops to both sides. But this is right now the area that we need to concentrate on, the 60 bucks. All right, let's keep an eye on that. Let's see what happened with GameStop while we're at it. We're already here anyways. So GameStop, check this one out, right? Went up a lot. Complete bull flag on a monthly graph with the splits and everything. So here we are, 5-minute graph. This is what happened since the gap up. So here's another example of that. Some people buy, there was your gap, right? So this is the area for that of support. Some people want to buy support, and then the risk is, you're not risking a lot. So I said 51 cents, you're pretty much right there, more or less. It's a little more volatile stock though. So you'd have to take maybe even more than 51 cents. You'd have to take 3/4, which is 75, just up it by a couple of cents, make it like 77, 78. Some people are long. This is the play. The play technically is to continue with the trend, which is to buy supports and not sell the breakout. Whoever sold the breakout, on the downside, whoever shorted that is risking a lot of money here. So the play is technically on the buy side. We're going to keep an eye on that also as well. Okay, and then you have your resistance somewhere around the $26 area. Very volatile stock though right now. We're coming back here. I want to show you something, how we developed here in the GME in GameStop. So I showed you the support, how people that buy support, there's less risk, the odds are for them, the trend is also upward. So we're thinking about going long. Spoke about going long around the 23 area. Boom. You have a trend line. Remember my dots up 1 point, 2 points, right? And here we are, pretty much at the area of resistance. These are the areas to start taking your profits. Or let's say there's an upward sloping trend line here, right? You're like, wait a minute, I'm in the money, but when do I get out? If this downward sloping trend line would have broken downwards, I would have started unloading. Half my position, whatever. It's just if something's going, it's going. If it's not going, don't fight the trend. Just go with what's happening here. So the question is, am I taking profit? Am I keeping this right now? So, you got to take, if you kept it right, it didn't break down here, you kept it, you got to sell like half your position here, and then you just got to see how to play the rest. But you got to now bring your stop higher to where you're, you don't want to take a loss, a little higher than where your entry point was. All right, we'll keep following this one, GME, and let's see what's going on with this SQ, which we were looking at before. So SQ worked for who? For the people that actually bought, which I told you I hate doing, but people that actually bought the breakout, okay? It worked for them. The gap is trying to fill itself. There's actually a whole class on that, on gap trading, okay? And that comes from the momentum that you guys heard on CNBC, that a lot of analysts like this company. So I guess that they were looking to buy from the get-go, and it was 14% high, it was 14% lower. So they went in. Obviously this trade did work, and for whoever shorted resistance, such as moi, the trade did not work. All right, there we go. Moving on. I will, however, point out that there is an upward sloping trend line, and when that gets broken to the downside, you have to think about your shorts. Again, that's another place that you could think about your shorts. Then you put the stop above the highest high that you have within this trend, this upward trend line. As you could see, it's happening now. Some people will actually just sell it right away, and some people will wait to get confirmation this is going to become resistance. So SQ, what I'm doing right now is I'm able to short around the 65 area, cover some at 64.20, keep the rest for the short. Sell again 65, cover some at 64.40, keep the rest for a short, and so on and so on. That's what you guys got to try and do. Even with, I'm trying to do this for a beginner's trader course with 100 shares. There's no reason you guys shouldn't be able to learn and demo off such trades. KRE. We're going to look at KRE for a minute. This is what's been going on since March 13th, right? We are in a trend, in a downward trend, but there are bottoms here all the way from 43, 42.84 to 43, and another major one of 42.90. But we're not really going up. Yesterday when the market went up, when the Qs went up, it was all tech, SMH, technology. Same thing's happening today. I'm looking at the Qs, are going up. The KRE does not want to go up. And that's, you got to look for things that if this is going to go further down, stocks that are at resistance. What's a resistance? We have RF. RF was in a trend line, upward sloping trend line. It just broke it to the downside. This should be resistance around 1820, from here to 1820. With the stop loss, I put it at 1837, 1846, somewhere around there. So look for things that are breaking down in the banking sector. Keep an eye on wall here on a daily graph. We're getting into a triangle. The pressure is building and it's going to go either way. Keep an eye on this thing because either way is a lot of money. It's $54 or $8, $7. Keep an eye on that. Looking at EWBC. EWBC is a regional banking sector. The overall trend is downwards, but according to a 60-minute graph, we are looking at an area of support. If anyone wants to take support on a downward sloping trend line, the position has to be half to buy. That means the position has to be half or a quarter with tight stop losses. Overall, you should be looking to build a short position when things are going down. You should be looking to sell around the 60 area because it's been there somewhere around the 59, 60 area 3 times and fell down, right? So we got 2 already confirmations. And this was the third one. They did try to get everybody out with at least $1. That's how volatile these things are today. Keep an eye on that as well. EWBC. Take a look at this. We said that the banking sector is on a downtrend, but the KRE, as I showed you, it's got this, it hasn't broken the bottoms. We just want to see one big push right now going to the bottom, right? And look at the big banks for a minute. So people usually like buy support, but I can't do that. I can't go against a trend line right now because I'm looking at these, I guess, at the sector as a whole. But bottom line is all these big boys also like Bank of America, look at this. They're like really on the low. It's like hitting this area around 27.67, and it keeps jumping back up from 27.67. It's going back up. So there are day trade opportunities here, but keep that to a minimum, and you're going against a trend that's, significantly not what you want to be doing. You got to be looking for areas for the shorts. If you don't have it, you don't have it. There's nothing you can do. But go through the sector, go through the stocks, see what you're looking at. I just showed you RF, which was, small stock. That was breaking, in an area of resistance, which just kind of broke area of support. So they're hard to come by, but look for them. Or, let's look at Citibank. It's also hard to short stocks when they're all the way in the bottom, which is also probably, it's a lot of risk. So Citibank is going up today, right? So if Bank of America starts going lower, look at these together at these stocks, and if they start going lower, then you know that Citibank should join. Maybe you should use it at resistance. If you see it's not going down though, it's going to go up the highest out of all the banks when the sector does go up. So remember that the strong ones go up higher, the ones that are weak, the ones that can go up when the market goes up, they go down the hardest. So now what's happening with this SQ that I showed you guys, we got in when the trend line broke down. So what you're supposed to do is technically you're supposed to trade it, right? So you took profit, let's say of a half or a quarter or whatever, and then it comes back and you see a trend line forming. So that's every single time there is one leg, two legs. By the third leg, you have to short again and then take profit, and then another leg and take profit until the trend line will break out of it to the top side, and then you'll decide whether you're going to get out of the position or not. All right, keep track of that. That's happening. Back to the RF. The RF broke down. I showed you RF. Check it out. Right, a few minutes ago, showed you that's the area. The banking sector looks like it doesn't want to go out up, and the banking sector is not going down. And here goes RF. Boom! It broke that trend line that I showed you guys to the top side, and it's going down. Same thing in NYCB. Okay, same thing is happening over there, right? We had an upward sloping trend line for the day. Sector didn't want to go up. You got to go in somewhere and figure out where you're going to take profit. You might have to take some profit over here. You never know, because the sector could find that support before the 42 area somewhere. So watch that and check out some home builders today. Looking at SQ again, I was at the point where I was going to, I see here that it pretty much broke the first trend line we had towards the top side. And then I see it's like breaking the second one also towards the top side. So this is an area where you got to decide you're going to cover everything, okay, get out of here. Or you could look at your 60-minute graph and imagine you have a triangle here, right? Or just put the stop above the last 60-minute candle on the 64, just put it above the 64.43 area, whatever it is. That's the way to handle these stop losses. Very important. And these trades are just continuing really nicely. Look at SQ. It's just the downtrend is continuing, which is really cool. I wonder if we're going to get back to the 60 area. We're going to have to see. Same thing is happening with NYCB. And the same thing is happening right now with RF. There's your NYCB. We said we're going to look to short stocks that are on their resistance area. This was the area. Once we broke the upward sloping trend line, got to get in there. And the same thing with RF. There we have it. And we just got to keep an eye on our KRE. We're going to see what's going on in the KRE. Okay. Keep an eye on that. RF should go to the low of the day. And let's check out what's going on with this SMH. We spoke about the 255.50 level. We spoke about the 257.50 level, which we broke up towards. And that became like a whole support area, if you recall. This whole entire area right here, 255 to 257.50. That became support area. And then they're just trying to take off. The problem is they got everybody, whoever was in this trade on a swing, they got them out yesterday. Okay. So you got to have like some serious tight stops here, see what's going on, or lower the size of the position and then you could grow your stop. Okay. One or the other. But meanwhile, we have a bull flag, but you know, the Nasdaq is up, the Dow is, you know, coming in the whole day. I mean, they're up on the day, but there is a downward sloping trend line on the diamonds today. Just like that. You see that after they went up in the morning, they just started coming in. We're going to see what happens now. It's possible that they're going to continue going up because they're up for the day, and that's a trend. So just keep an eye on this downward sloping trend line. If it breaks to the top side, same thing with the SPY that I'm noticing. So keep an eye on these things. And if that happens and the banks start running up, be careful on the shorts. I keep an eye on these things. GameStop, GME. Let's look at what happened over there. So we had an upward sloping trend line, which broke. Okay, we had this upward sloping trend line, which broke. But the problem is that they capitulated it. They just decided to just bust out from 23.75 all the way up to 24.75, a whole dollar. But check out what happened here. It hit the trend line from yesterday, right? We had a trend line, upward sloping trend line with 3 legs up, which they broke down today. That became your resistance right there. Okay, so if anyone got in there that was smart enough, you're doing pretty well today. But this is an upward sloping trend line overall. So the stock is up. You just want to try to find it in place where you're buying it in certain areas. You know, like like they had yesterday's low, which was 23.05, right around there, 23.05. So today we hit it. We spoke about this in the morning. You rather do the longs as opposed to the shorts, right? So we're gonna see what happens when it gets back here again today at the $23 all the way down to 22.75. But if anyone caught these short, good for him. I was not one of those lucky people.
Nasdaq.
So the SPY are at the low of the day. You see this? They actually broke it to the downside a little bit and jumping back up. The Dow Jones is almost there. The only one that's really up is the Nasdaq, right? The Qs. They didn't come down even to the trend line yet. So this area, we got to watch what goes on here because the question is now, are we covering our shorts and call it a day? Or are we going to cover 3 quarters and then see how things are progressing? Because overall, this is a long day, but we shorted things because that's what we saw, right? Whether it be the SQ, whether it be NYCB, whether it be RF. So we got to keep a close eye here of what's happening. This is a major level, okay? According to, you know, whether it's going to support. If it does support, you should technically close out like 3 quarters of your trade and see how it goes. From there, we'll figure it out. But that's the way the trend is moving, and that's what we're going to do. So I want you to take a look at something here. On the diamonds, you see what happened is I told you that we are reaching today's open. Remember, high, low, open, close of significant areas that we are looking at. Sorry about that. So what happened here is usually what we get at what's called a capitulation. Capitulation is, you know, price drops really quickly and jumps back up. We got a small little tiny wick here, okay, and the small little capitulation, but it's the low, the open was 41, I think. 321.41, the low was 33, the low here was 321.38. Okay, we were 5 cents off today's low and we were 3 cents off today's open. So if you don't have a trade, this is a good area. The diamonds are up for the day, SPY's up for the day, and the Nasdaq's up today. Trend is up today, right? That would be a good place to, let's say, take a long position with a small stop loss, somewhere around 26 cents from that area. If you're getting in, you're seeing, noticing that it's supporting, that'll be the area of jumping in for a long for the day, seeing if that trend could continue. And keep an eye on what took this trend up, okay? You had the home builders, you had tech, you had the SMH, and so on. I want you to notice what's happening at SQ, okay? Take a look at it. Give me a second. Here we are in SQ. Let me change that screen for you. So we had a short in SQ, and look where things are changing. Things are changing right around now. Oh, sorry, wrong one. SQ. We got into short, we had downward sloping trend line, boom. You should automatically have a stop loss, a trailing stop, some sort of stop loss for this. You know, I wouldn't necessarily tell you jump into a long if you are a new trader, but if you're really good at this stuff, then yeah, maybe jump in for a long, automatic long, you know, have it triggered already with your stop loss. Because if you don't, when things jump, they jump pretty quickly. So you got to keep that in mind. And this is happening exactly when the market was at the bottom. Okay, so if anyone did, let's say, trade that diamond, then you were able to make a little bit of money because we're up already from 321.40 area all the way up to 322.30 area. We're gonna probably go a little higher, I think, from here, at least something around $1. It's a good risk reward when things are moving pretty slowly. All right, keep that in mind. The home builders are also at the bottom for the day. Look at them. So here we are again. You know, the diamond is once again in this area. It's really able to go up. You got to really think twice if you're still holding this long. The SPY actually made a lower low, which is interesting. And look where the Qs are, exactly at an upward sloping trend line support at 60 minutes. If that gets broken, that could cause an issue. This is still a low risk trade on the diamonds, but you got to be careful here. Small, tight stop loss. I wouldn't even make it more than 26 cents, 13 cents. You're done. Personally, I don't really like it because it should have supported it a little stronger than what I'm watching and seeing right now. So be careful here. I personally am not long this thing. I wouldn't take a long on it right here. The risk reward is small, but I had too much going on today. Good luck. Take a look at what's going on here in Bank of America and JP Morgan. They are pushing these things down slow. That means that the market maker, you know, this sector is at the bottom of its month almost. Okay, the low of the low, and they're still pushing these stocks. They're selling and selling. I mean, this is unbelievable. You got to realize that the momentum on these banks is still down. You know, we're going to see if they're giving people a head fake here or not, but JP Morgan, low for the day. Citibank wasn't at the low of the day, but it seems to me like it's on the low of the day now, right? Almost. Yeah, low of the day. So it seems like the KRE, the sector, it might even reach 41.91. That's another 50 cents. We're almost there. Like the sector is going to be at the bottom of the month, and then we're going to see something happening over there. You know, that's a price where things are going to be moving one way or another. So keep an eye on this sector. Very, very interesting sector. Now, the home builders, they might have started off the day high, but they whacked them. They hit them over the head. Let's look at this XHB today. It's very interesting how it came in on the day, came up on the day at a gap, and then They just hit them hard. So if the market does turn around to the upside, keep an eye on this one. This trend line will be broken to the top side. If market goes, this could go, but I just don't feel it. I'm not feeling things want to go up. Look at the diamonds, making new lows, SPY new lows, Q's making new lows. That's why I'm not feeling longs right here around this area. So keep that in mind. Look to short. The problem is everything is at the bottom. What are you going to push? Selling stock at the bottom is a problem. So if you have some shorts from the earlier when we started date, that's amazing. And if not, look for something that's breaking an upward sloping trend line. I was looking at coin earlier because it came in. It's actually, even though it's been up for the month or the week, it's been down because of the SEC investigation. So you had an upward sloping trend line that broke, and ever since then we're just going down. There was a gap down here. So keep an eye on that. Kind of like the SQ. SQ again, trying to go lower. Let's see what happens with the diamonds here. This is a very interesting area. The thing I want to talk about right now is the gold sector. I got into this thing a month back. I was looking at options at calls when it was like when it fell to like 150 area. I ended up taking crazy calls at 165. They were like the cheapest ones that I found. And I ended up, in the money in them and just took the shares, see where this is going, because I actually believed the position was going to go even longer. And gold has been on a tear since that 150 area. Look where we're hitting monthly levels. I just want you to take a look at this. Okay. This whole area from here to 195 is very, very crazy and dangerous. It's going to be a heck of a war here. But if this flies through the 195, who knows where the upside is. So keep an eye on the gold here. This whole area, if it comes in like it did to this 168 a few weeks ago or 176, I think about buying some calls and options, because you don't know if you want to hold an ETF long. Who's got money for all that? It takes up too much buying power. You buy an option, you decide you're throwing away $100, $1,000, whatever it is on your trade, and you're done with it. You don't have to think too much about it. When you're in the money, you're making money. Two stocks that I mentioned in last week or this week, one was Wall, and the other one was EWBC. They have, if the KRE sector is going to fall, okay, they have a lot of room to fall. So I would look at those also for longer term, for the next month out or 2 months out or 3 months out. When you watch the markets every single day, every single minute, you kind of get a feel of what's going on. And the feeling was that it wasn't going to happen. These stocks were not going to go back up. And there you have it. It continued down. Am I short? No, I'm personally not short on the diamonds. On the stocks you saw, I am. Not on the SPY. But we're going to see how these things progress, because my indications are, I showed you guys that we had a lot of upside momentum going according to the graphs in the long term, daily, weekly, and so on. So we had breakups of bull flags, which I showed you guys. Right here was the one of them. We came out of this area, but we're going to have to see how these things play out, if they're going to support. And the only one that I found the slight of a bull flag was in the SPY, and then it came up again somehow in the Qs. You see that longer term one right there going down in 2 legs, and right now we were around that resistance. I spoke about it yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago. So this was a good play. Could come all the way back down to 286. We had a bull flag, I believe, on the 60-minute, which we saw twice breaking to the upside, right? Yeah, there it was. But on the daily, this is a higher low lower high, lower low, lower low. Well, here we have a little bit of a problem, but keep an eye on these things. This is important. Look to go with the trend depending on where you're trading, on the daily or in the 60-minute. What kind of trade are you looking for? All right, let's kill them. Find your shorts. Cheers. Something to look at, which is interesting right now. Are the diamonds are actually right now on the low of yesterday's low. Okay, that can be support, and so is this trend line, which is probably broke it already a little bit. But this could be support right here, so be careful once again. Okay, this could be a place, yesterday's low could be a place of support because we're still up. Okay, still up, still up. So the momentum is still on the long side for some people on these, and they're still in the money, and they're going to try to support that in the money position. That's also a good place if you feel the momentum is changing a little bit and you're looking at the sectors to take along with a small risk. Okay, so if you're buying right around 320 area, you can put a stop at 319.74. So check this out, so I went to a 60-minute graph and the breakdown is just continuing. Everything is coming in, continuing to come in. Diamonds. So diamonds, they're pretty much, we're going to have to go to a daily graph to see what's going on, because what just happened was we broke down on this triangle that we broke out of. We were supposed to continue going back up, but that never happened. Always go with the flow. And that's coming in. So the SPY right now, if you look at it, this was the tunnel that we had in the SPY, big two lines. And this is the last two lows that we had right here and right around here. So we're going to extend that. And here we are right now. We're in that area, right? The bottom of the 60-minute trend line. This should be support, but who says it's going to support, right? But this is a trade if you're a day trader. I'm going to go and look at something a little more longer term. Okay, and in the Qs, if you see on a 60-minute, we broke out of the bull flag, and now we're in this area of, this new, it was some sort of support, but I wouldn't really call that a support because of the fact that the capitulations here was very quick. Let's move on to the day graph, okay? And right now we are going to have to look at the day graph on the SPY, and you see, on this bear flag, there's more room for us to come down on this range. We can come all the way down to wherever it meets the line. So you have to be cautious with this, and that's where you're pretty much going to want to decide to take a play on the daily graph. And on the diamonds, so the diamonds, if you're noticing, this was the bull flag, but it kept giving us lower highs and lower lows, which is a problem for us, right? That's why we're scared of this momentum. And we could come back to play this whole entire area, right? Obviously, this was the neckline of the flag, one of them. We supported it. Right now, we're just playing on this range. See, we're playing on this range. 1, 2, 3. These are the areas we're going to play on it. So I don't see a play there either as of now. Not like we did with the Qs a few days ago, which was a beautiful trade for anyone that took that short. You see, next we had a resistance here at around 314, something like that, and we also came in and hit our top end of the tunnel, and now we're going to try to come back in. The question is till where? So the best trades that work are usually the daily graphs, but you always want to keep an eye on the 60s. Also see what's going on over there when you're trading these ETFs. Meanwhile, the momentum is continuing. Look at where we are with KRE. Look at this. We are at the bottom. At the bottom, March bottom, 4190. It's exactly where we're at. This is a very significant area. I don't see how this is a buy, even though, I say buy and support, but these banks are being pushed down so much. I'm going to be watching it very, very closely. You got to be really fast with your hotkeys or your mouse if you're going to get into a trade here, longer or short, and you want to keep the stop losses really tight, really tight. Okay, so enjoy that. KRE at support. Let's see what happens. So I didn't take the trade, but look what happened here at 41.91. We hit it on the dot. And this thing flew up for $1 so far, all the way up. It's going to go to the resistance area, which is going to be right around here at 43.15, right around here. Okay, keep that in mind and be careful. So I'm going to show you why it's so important to have your lines out there, right? So I believed that, and I still believe that this KRE sector is supposed to go down, whether because I feel the pressure. I see how they're pushing these stocks down, right? So I didn't want to be a buyer at 41.90, and I kind of missed out. I should have taken something. I'm just too busy with stuff, but I know I was looking to get in there on the short side because if it breaks to 41.90, we're going to see 47.50 like really quick, probably. So the stock jumps, right? In 5 minutes, it goes 5, 10, 15, boom. And then it gets all the way up to 43.12. I'm looking to the left. And what do I see? My first resistance trend line, right? It was from March 17th close or whatever it was. That was my first resistance trend line. Now I can get to extend it for today. Boom, I jump on a short. I'll show you all these trades at the end of the day because I'm actually doing this video for how to beginning day traders, how to learn how to make money with 100 shares or lower and so on, which is pretty cool. You can make like, $200 a day, whatever it is, a beginning trader. It just takes a while to hone the skill. So, and jump on the stock, take it on the short, and it falls all the way down to 42.40. You cover half, you keep the rest, see how it goes. And that's how you build your position if you think you're going to go short. So we're going to keep an eye on that, right? Let's see what happens with this KRE. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up by showing you the end of the session. So what's happening now, we're about 25 minutes to the close. You got to understand that anything can happen on the close. You got to be careful on the close. And I'm going to show you the trades that we took today. I tried to show you all the points and all the trades, where we took them and so on and so on. Stop losses, take profit areas. Whenever I felt the momentum with the leading indicators, which were the diamonds, spies, and Qs, based on that, we went into the trades and took profit and went out of the trades, and whether we went short or long. So keep an eye, first of all, on this 41.90 level, which we spoke about on the KRE. Okay, that's the banking sector. And here are the trades for today. This was a demo for beginner traders to learn how to trade with 100 shares, because that is a round number of 100 shares. You don't have to risk a lot. You got to take some small stop losses. We're talking about day trading right now. So I took somewhere around, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it looks like 15 trades for the day. Okay, so really small positions. Just want to show you how you can make $200 a day. I had about 2 losing trades here today. One for $23 on the diamonds, one for $1 on SQ. And the trades were as follows. I kind of started shorting off at SQ as soon as I saw it for the day. Here it is. As soon as we saw the upward sloping trend line right here, being broken to the downside, got in, and then started taking profit as I saw fit, got in with like 100 shares, nothing too much, 35, 45, 9, 36. Then I took another trade, $6, took a tiny little loss, got in at a bad place, got out right away. When you could tell when you make mistakes. RF, we saw the same thing in RF, right? I was looking for something to short on the banking sector, and here we are. As soon as we saw an upward sloping trend line, I saw the sector doesn't really want to go up, therefore I looked to short it. As soon as it broke that upward sloping trend line, shorted it, made a little bit of money on it. Same thing with NYCB, exactly the same type of trade. And then shorted the KRE right when it jumped, where I showed you guys where it jumped, kind of missed the buy because I kind of believed they were just going to blow right through it. It just felt that way, that type of day, which is what I saw from JP Morgan, and they were pushing these big stocks down. But then as soon as it jumped like 2 seconds right away. I saw it around resistance area, shorting it, and then just take some profit. And one loss today on the diamonds. So keep following me. Learn how to trade with small lots, little small stop losses. I hope you enjoyed this session. Just was a long session. It was a long day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Cheers.